Hey guys, get it on. Just up front, I'm sorry, I forgot to do a proper screen record on this episode, so it's probably just best to listen to the audio only on this one, but I did take some screenshots of what I'm talking about and spread them out through the episode. So sorry about that. Enjoy.
Yeah, get it on. Welcome back to Fast to You. All brought to you by Fitlab, Tailwind Nutrition, Biomaxa. Let me tell you all about final race of the season. This was the 42 Traverse mountain bike race up in somewhere. That's right, I'm not entirely clear where it was, but it was somewhere in the central North Island, somewhere in the bush. I've never done it before. I'll tell you what I learned. We'll do some comparison, rigid versus full suspension. Time, was it worth it? Don't know. Well, I do know now. I'll tell you what it was. And we'll discuss. Oh yeah, so this next time of the year is, for a lot of people, the one they dread. That's right, that's what I'm saying. It's that phase where you need to find a way to not go insane while you are doing your endurance phase. I have some thoughts about that. I'm really doing it. All of you training for Pioneer, races like North Island Series in spring, everything, all the club races that start in August to December, you're going to be in this boat where you wanted to do some miles, and I'll show you how to not go crazy. So let's have a look, shall we? 42 Traverse. Let's have a look at some numbers. This was on Sunday. No, it wasn't. Saturday. I wanted to do it because it's sort of like a marathon style mountain bike event. Not super technical, which should suit me with my lack of technical skills these days on the mountain bike. And I was encouraged to do it by some people who said it was a very well-organised event. So I did it in 1 hour, 56 minutes, 38 seconds, the distance of 46.1 kilometres. So you're actually hauling along pretty fast, an average speed of almost 24k an hour, so that's fast. And that's because of the pretty non-technical nature of the course. I guess it's like a lot of four-wheel drive and walking track stuff. What do we got? Climbing. Now it says here 353 metres, that's not right. I don't know why my Garmin had the wrong vertical, but it was more like, I think more like about 900. And well, I'll show you in a minute when I do the comparison about the rigid versus suspension, how that was made up. Work. 1,834 kilojoules. I don't know, 7 or 8 McDonald's hamburgers. So I was 5th overall. That cost me 262 watts average heart rate 150, cadence 87, slow, mountain bike, effective power 311. That was okay. So let's have a, so just kind of starts on the road for about, I don't know, 5Ks. We're hauling downwards before you reach a section of grassy farmland, which is undulating for another 4 or 5Ks, before you kind of reach the main part, the main trail, which lasts for about, 35Ks, just sort of undulating, a few river crossings, rocky. Think like a more mellow version of Karapoti, that kind of rocky, stream crossing-y, moist, semi-muddy kind of terrain. And if you're looking at the screen, ignore the elevation profile there, because that's totally out because my Garmin was wrong. So let's have a quick look at results. Sam Buckley, under 17 rider, winning in 1 hour 50:43, so 26k an hour average. That's fast. Jamie Piggins, Male Master 1, and I was talking to him. I think it's his first mountain bike race or something. He's a runner, so he's a good rider. Alex Stent, and then me in fifth, taking out the Master 2 category, coming in fifth, 1 hour 56:34, 24.7 kilometre hour average. I've got, look at this unit. Richard Medicott is staying at his place. Looks like he's third in 50 plus, but holy cow. Let me show you some data in a minute from this guy, descending. He's, I think maybe he should look at getting a more, climbing focused bike, because he's devastatingly fast on the descents. And my riders down here, we have Greg Blackler had a solid ride, 24th in Master 2, but that's a big field, 2 hours 29. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. So, I mean, as a whole, actually, look, sum it up. Would I do it again? Maybe. It's super in the middle of nowhere if you're coming from Wellington or Auckland. If I just go back here and zoom out on the map, like I really got to the end and I didn't really know where I was, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but yeah, so you're kind of south, west of Lake Taupo National Park. Yeah, it's not somewhere you'd normally ride. I mean, I guess it's interesting to do because it's not somewhere you'd normally ride. Very picturesque, mountains, rivers, pretty cool. Will I do it again? Maybe. If there was a more high priority event on, I might do that instead. But this year was good fun. So let's have a look at some stuff here, because my bike was my China 29er, which I've had for a number of years, which has been rebuilt in various guises and has been very solid. So a Chinese carbon fiber unbranded frame from Hongfu. See my blog for the exact product number, but it's been very reliable. It's probably done 50 races, 50 plus, and a lot of training. The name's Dolores. I had decided for this race, because of its looking at it looked like it would be good for a rigid setup, so I did. I put my just regular carbon rigid fork on there. This whole setup comes to just a hair over 20 pounds. So you're saving about 3 pounds over having a suspension fork, the RockShox Reba 100mm that I sometimes run on rockier courses. So we've got a full rigid, hardtail rigid setup. So let's look at some data to compare. Something I like to do is figure, like I've done this before on more technical, shorter cross XCO style courses, to try to determine, is the improvement in climbing worth the time you lose in descents? So I just snagged a couple of data points from 42 Traverse. Now, 42 Traverse, fast, rocky, think like kind of like Big Ring Boulevard style descents. It's not so rocky that you really have to have suspension. So what difference does it make? Well, let's have a look here. So we've got a sector here, which is called Echo Canyon Lookout to Waioni Stream. So it's just a section I chose because it's close to 4Ks long. You lose 313 meters apparently, minus 8% average. Takes 7 minutes and 12 seconds for me, and I'm on my fully rigid. So what did that cost me? Well, quite a lot by the looks of it. If you look at the guys who were near the front of the race, Sam Buckley, Jamie Piggins, and, so as I said before, Richard Medicott, ripping that out, all between about 6 and 6:20, 6 minutes and 6 minutes 20. So that's what the top sort of 5-6 guys are doing that section in. Now you've got to scroll quite a way down to find me. I am in, oh holy cow, where am I? I'm not even on the first page of results. That's how slow I was in this descent. 32nd place, 7 minutes 12. So I'm losing round about a minute over, only a 4 kilometer section. That's pretty serious. And that's only on, one section. So that's what it costs me to be on that rigid bike on the descent. Here's a chunk I took to look at what, the version where you're on a climb that suits this setup, a smoothish climb. This is near the end, the final climb called Okaio Street Climb, coming from the river up to the town where we had we had it all set up with tents. So this is 2.16 kilometre section, average rate of 4%. Elevation gain 90 metres. So just a short climb near the end. Took me 6 minutes 50. Is that what it is? Why is that guy in first then? I don't understand that. 6 minutes 50. Oh no, 5 minutes 56. So there's a guy ahead of me in the Strava leaderboard here, Les Thompson, but he will have been on a electric bike, so it doesn't count. So amongst the people who actually have to push the power themselves, I have effectively the KOM for that segment of 6 minutes 50. But how does that compare to those other riders? Well, there you go. There's all the other guys in the top 5. Sam Buckley, Jamie Piggins, let's just grab those guys. Jared Scully. Those guys all ripping it out in the high sixes. So 6:55 to Sam, 6:56 to Jamie. Jared's 7:49, a little slower, but those young guys are super fast. So they're only losing somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds to me on their climb, and they're on dual suspension setups. So here's what I'm saying: gaining on that climb a very small amount of time, sub 10 seconds, losing on that descent, just that one chunk I chose, close to a minute. And so all in all, here's what I'm saying: even on quite a non-technical descent, the ability to just pin a line on the suspension bike is worth quite a lot. I notice myself, braking a lot, hunting lines, moving across lines, whereas I know on my dually, I would just be pinning it straight ahead, and it's much faster to do that, adding up to a minute over only 4Ks or whatever it was. And percentage-wise, a minute between 7.5, 8.5 minutes, I don't know, that's well over 10%, right? 15%, maybe 20%, something like that faster on the suspension setup. So that's why I'd say I do like riding the rigid, because it's an interesting sensation, but it's not fast. So I think that would put paid to anything that isn't probably a hill climb time trial. I think any form of suspension is going to be faster. That's what I think. So what else we got here? Look at my notes. Oh yeah. Well, I was going to talk about this next phase, but here's what you've got to realize. So if you're doing a version of a build-up where you want to be in best shape somewhere between, I'm recording this in April. No, I'm not. It's May. It's early May. And if you want to be in shape September through November, you're going to be wanting to put in to what people always refer to as base endurance. What does it mean? Well, in biological terms, that means increasing the density of your mitochondria, increasing your blood volume, increasing your heart stroke, your lung volume. All those things are what improves your aerobic economy and your aerobic threshold. And really the job for a lot of endurance athletes, especially my style of time trialing, road racing, mountain biking, that's what the focus is for the next probably 8 to 12 weeks. So there are a couple of ways you can do that. The only way that's legal is to understand, is to target aerobic training, usually between 1 and 2 millimoles of lactate. Fitlab testing will give you that number, and setting it as long as possible. That's what has the best scientific evidence for increasing those variables I mentioned before. The downside of that, of course, is of course that it can be boring. So you're kind of stuck, because if you want to improve your base endurance, you've got to do this work, but you don't want to go insane. And there's not really a magic bullet. One thing I think helps is to actually know what intensity you're aiming for and why, so you can have a good evidence in your own head that what you're doing is having the desired effect. That'll give you motivation in itself, because you know what you're doing. If you go out and you're just riding junk miles, maybe that's not going to be as satisfying, because you don't really know what effect it's having. So I like to test guys, get them to do this endurance work, retest, check the effect, and they always go up, as long as you target it right. So there is that. The other thing is just to find out, how you like, any way you can do it. Maybe you're going to use Zwift and you're going to ride around virtually because it's raining. Maybe the simplest one is the best, whereas you go out with other humans and train, and, you get talking, and that's always, more enjoyable. Going with other people, you do need to choose people that are ideally in a similar ability, because, you need to be in a relatively tight range of intensity to get the best benefit. So you've got to kind of do that, but as long as it's not crazy different, you might find that you can work more on the front or on the back or something to even it out. That's an idea. You can even put some long sweet spot intervals into this training. That's a good thing to do anyway, to layer it in and try to do it in a way you enjoy. Maybe if you want to know what I'm talking about, sweet spot intervals, just, look on the blog, on fitlab.co.nz, look at my blog, whatever, just look it up, but, or get a program with me and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Layer it in, overs, unders, hill climbs, straight intervals, position change, whatever it takes to kind of get it done. And there can be quite a lot of variation to your enjoyment of doing it in different positions. So, and maybe the last thing I'll say about it is, if a lot of cycling, some of cycling is suffering. Now, if you want to get good at cycling, I don't particularly want to hear you make the proclamation that you're willing to strain and suffer, but then find a lot of excuses. It's kind of like getting up and doing any other job. Put on your shoes, walk. I have this thing I do where if I need to do something I don't want to do, I just get my body to do it and get my head to follow. Sometimes I know I need to get on the bike and ride something. Just get your body to do it, and don't ignore what your head's saying to you. Just do it. Get it done. I do find this time of year it's common for people to start very enthusiastic, and then as the days get short, it gets cold, that wears off, and that's natural. But if you want to be good at cycling, you need to find a way through. And maybe understand that that's not, that's not meaning crazy miles at all. Like I train between about 7 and 12 hours a week in a normal build phase, maybe creeping up to 13, 14 hours a week, maybe on some insane week, 15 hours. A lot of people ride a lot more than that. But if you're targeting the quality in there, you will have enough, well and truly enough training impulse from that to adapt and get better without getting super bored because you're just riding crazy miles. That will be what will stop you improving year after year if you hate it, because you might have 1 or 2 or 3 good years of training in you, but if it sucks and you hate it, you won't keep building up for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15, 20, 24 years because it's too hard. you'll go and do something else. So that's what I'd say about endurance training. And that's something, if any of my riders are listening to this, come in, talk to me at our catch-ups over the next couple of weeks, and put some thought into how you like to get this work done best. That's how we'll structure up your program. We'll figure out your loads, what you're capable of doing that fits into your lifestyle and your work balance to make it as achievable as possible. But, you know, there's two sides to the coin. Make it as enjoyable and effective as possible. Probably as short as possible, really, too, with getting the effect. But you've got to do it. It's got to get done. And don't complain when you're not as fit as you wanted to in the season, when you haven't done that base work. There's no sexy way around that, I'm sorry. That's what I'm saying. The only other thing I do is say add weights. Almost all cyclists, I think, can benefit from having some component of pushing weights. Good for your hormonal health, good for your muscle mass, and almost all riders benefit from that, especially middle-aged riders. Check out the blog on fitlab.co.nz if you want to see what that is talking about. One of the most popular blog pieces I've written on our website was about that. Maybe the most popular ever, and I think that's because what happens is it gets neglected, and then people discover it or something, and they see what a giant difference it makes in a relatively short time. And because of that, they get excited and read up about it, and certainly helped me a ton. Don't expect your muscle mass, if you're doing it right, to increase a lot, but do expect the recovery times, your hematocrit, things like that, to improve from weight training. It's kind of slightly counterintuitive. Those are the most important things. You're not going to muscle up, probably. Depending on your genetic makeup, you're not going to end up like Arnie. You won't, if you do it right. If you want to come to me for a program, I'll show you how to do it. So, what does that mean? That means the next 8 to 12 weeks for me, endurance phase. I will be running some training rides with Fitlab riders. Endurance rides, we will be reconning North Island Team Series race. We will be entering teams in Master 1 and Master 2 for the North Island Team Series race. Entries are open now. Go to the Trust House Team Series. If you want to one of my riders listen to this and you'd like to be involved in the team, message me. That'll be a focus. And maybe the only other thing is think about events that you will be excited to do, that you can think about when you're training. Don't do events because you've done them 100 times. Try to think of events you'll be good at. Use your statistics page on Cycling Analytics to figure out what your strengths are. Think about events that maybe fit that. Think about events that are exciting and new, so that when you're training and you're suffering and it is hard, you know what you're doing it for and you're excited by it. If you have events coming up that aren't that exciting or new or novel, you probably won't have the motivation to do the training. I'll be doing K2 this year or something like that, riders, never done it before. Close to 200k race in the Coromandel. It was one of the hardest one-day races in New Zealand. So doing Taupo again, doing North Island Series, trying to win. Maybe some mountain bike races thrown in there. Lots of time trials. I'm looking forward to getting it on. I will be building up a new time trial bike over the next 12 weeks or so to build it and tune it for the time trials coming up in spring and summer. Currently looking at BMC's time machines, currently looking at giant Trinities, looking at Cervelos. Number one consideration is, because of UCI rules, a lot of stuff is standardized, but front end being clean is important, and adjustability. I see a lot of people on time trial bikes can't really get the position they want because they can't adjust the front end how they want it. What you want, I think, is a regular flat time trial base bar with stackers some sort of modular stacker like the Giant design, where you can, make longer bolts, put them through the stackers, and stack your bars up as high or as low as you want to get your hip angle and the relationship with your hands in front of your torso right. So it's low, so your hip angle is as low or as close to parallel to the ground as it can be, without losing power, and so that you can get your hands in the right position. You kind of have to have the adjustment to practice with that, and that's why I like the Giant design, because it's not proprietary. If you look at something like the Cervelo, the new ones, the 2019, maybe 2020 model, whatever it is, does have a weird setup on the bars, and I suspect it's very difficult and very expensive to change unless you're a pro. I don't like that. Adjustability, especially in the bars and the risers, is number one consideration on a time trial bike, and that's what I'm looking at. The rest of the frame is almost certainly going to be, I suspect that the main triangle of any good level time trial bike, they all look very similar, and I suspect have very negligible, if any, aero differences, and those aero differences may actually differ in different yaw conditions. So I don't really care about the back of the bike. All I care about is brake position, brake integration, cable integration, and front end adjustability. That's it. And if you can, so that's what I'm looking for. So if you've got ideas about a bike that fits that bill, let me know. May even look at the bike that seems to fit that bill really well, apart from the Giant, is actually Chinese unbranded frames have a lot of those features, and I may get an upgrade on what I've currently got. I got a Hongfu, Dingfu, one of those brands, and look at those. Get a custom painted one, I don't know. I'll tell you what I get, and I'll show you the setup later on, hopefully in a few weeks' time. So, right, I'll leave it there. So, hey, if you want a program or lactate testing, one of only a couple of places in the country to do it, you can come and see me. Contact me, Steve, at fitlab.co.nz. Go to our website, fitlab.co.nz. Go to supporters, Biomaxa, Tailwind Nutrition, Cramp Fix. There's discount codes, Capital Cycles, bottom of the video, on the blog. Use those codes, Fitlab 10, Steve Bale Fitlab. Get 10% of free shipping, save yourself 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks on your next load from that. I have tried different lubes apart from the Biomaxa, and I've come back to the Biomaxa lube for everything because it sinks into the rollers. It gets very sticky and waxy inside the rollers, and then you can wipe everything off the external surface of the chain, have a perfectly clean train, even in pretty bad conditions, like the weekend was. All of the waxy lanolin stays inside the chain, and if you rotate the chain, it gets sort of like looser, if you like. It's interesting, if you put the lube on and it's cold, it kind of like, it does feel like literally like wax. It's quite sticky. Then you rotate the chain, you move it, and it becomes very slippery in the rollers. Biomaxa lube, try it. If you test with me, you get some free samples as well. All right. Hey, thanks for listening, guys. See you in the weekend.